and I honestly think they're slightly overbred. And I'll leave it at that. He was such a perfect fish, I decided not to cull him. Whoa, whoa. These are all homebred, so I've bred all of these. This is my goldfish greenhouse, and today I am giving you guys a full tour and showing you all the details of how this place works, what I have stocked here, and what my future plans are. Starting with my 5,000 gallon goldfish trough system. So the cool thing about this is that this was actually part of a historical fishery on my property that I tore the entire thing down, but kept these troughs to repurpose them for goldfish growth. And this trough you're looking at here is the Ranchu trough. Let me show you guys my largest and oldest goldfish. This behemoth right here. Whoa, whoa. This behemoth right here is Carrot 1.0. He's actually the only goldfish I have that was born in Chicago. So this guy is so old that he was born in another state, and I brought him here when I first moved, and he's just been growing and chugging along ever since. But yeah, this guy is an absolute behemoth. He used to be orange, but now he's turned white. So a lot of these guys I bred. Whoa, whoa. Okay, chill out, chill out. Ever since I brought them to the goldfish greenhouse, these guys have been way, way more active. So yeah, a majority of my stock are really just red-white Ranchus that come from Thailand. But none of these are imports. These are all homebred. So I've bred all of these. A majority from this year. I believe this guy was actually last year's breed. I just liked him so much, this little lemonhead, I kept him. But the majority of these I bred this year. I just got a ton of these red whites that I'm trying to grow out a little bit. And I'll actually begin selling some of these soon, but I'm going to be keeping some breeders for the next season. So that is where I keep a majority of my Ranchus, my normal Ranchus. But over here, I keep some special guys. These are my Ranchus that happen to pop out with dorsal fins. So if you look at this guy here, he's actually not the best quality one, but he was from a Ranchu parent, but he's got a dorsal fin. But let me show you a much, much higher quality one of these guys. This is Mega Popsicle. Oh, wow. Check out Popsicle. So Popsicle was the offspring of two Ranchus. He just happened to pop out with a dorsal fin, but he was such a perfect fish, I decided not to cull him. So I may expand on this breed a little bit. They're basically like Yun Baos. They basically look like Yun Baos. They just came from Ranchu genetics. But they have this full, complete dorsal fin, and they look great. So I figured, why don't I just keep a couple of these and maybe continually breed that stock? But he's absolutely beautiful. Let me show you one of the females in here as well. Check out this female over here. So if I could breed this female with Popsicle, that would be wonderful. Let's check. Is she laying eggs? No eggs for today. Look at the shape on that. Look at the color on that. And she's just a healthy fish. Her and Popsicle are just both very good, big, healthy fish. So if one day I could breed those two, I think we would have some really great offspring. Okay, so before I show you the other goldfish breeds that I have in this system, I want to just quickly explain what even is this system? How does it work? Well, it all starts... Oh, shoot. It all starts over here where the pumps are. So this is where all the water is pulled and pumped to the filters. Let me just zoom down. It gets pumped all the way to these filters over here. So the way these filters work is very, very simple. Inside these black baskets, I got filter padding that removes the physical particulates, the pieces of goldfish poop and the debris. And after it goes through there, there's actually a ton of lava rocks underneath it. And those lava rocks have water trickling through, which actually means this is a trickle-down filter, a wet, dry trickle-down filter, which is a very, very efficient way of turning ammonia into nitrate. These actually work a lot better than submersible filters because the media is largely exposed to air. So I got 3 of these bad boys. Okay, so after all that water is pumped from that corner all the way into these tubs, it pours out into this end of this trough over here. And then it begins flowing. It begins flowing back all the way to over here. It flows in one direction because it's pouring in from over there. It has to overflow somewhere, and it goes into this pipe right here, which actually flows into the secondary trough. After it flows into this trough through the pipe here, it again begins flowing all the way down this trough in one direction to this trough over here. And then again, there's a hole in the concrete that allows the water to again flow over here and flow all the way back to eventually make their way back to the pumps and then back to the filter. Now I know what you're thinking. Luke, if all the fresh clean water gets poured out into one side and all the fish poop in it along all the troughs, isn't the water like super, super dirty by the time it gets back to the pumps? Well, not necessarily. Because yes, I have filters in this system, but I have filters all throughout it as well. I have plants located all over this system, specifically fast-growing floating plants like water lettuce, water hyacinth. These things grow like crazy. And of course, Salvinia minima. All these floating plants grow very rapidly, and they have a ton, and I mean a ton, of surface area with all these roots. And because that water flows in one direction through them, they all act like a filter. All a biological filter is a high surface area that has water flowing through it. Then bacteria can grow on that high surface area, and the ammonia can be turned into nitrate, and these things can actually absorb straight ammonium. So basically, the water, as it moves through the system, is continually always being filtered. In fact, I could probably remove those main filters there, and it would still be a decent system. I just probably couldn't stock it as heavily. But just having the water circulating alone causes a lot of filtration to happen because that circulated water grows these plants that are located all over the place. So now that you know how this system actually works and how the water's kept clean, let me show you some more breeds or types of goldfish I got here. Starting with, again, the spiky dudes. So they're popularly called shark chew. I don't know if you can see, but he's just got one little spike of a dorsal fin. You see that? He's just got a little spike of a dorsal fin, and he's honestly really cute. Now, I have no plans to breed these guys, but I do have plans to sell them. I have had multiple people contact me and say, hey, I want to buy one of your shark chews. I think they're adorable. Breeding of these can be kind of like, unpredictable. You don't know what you're going to get, so I don't plan on breeding them, but sometimes in my normal Ranchu breeding, I see a good-looking shark chew, and I keep them. So that's what I got in this section. We interrupt this program to let you know we got beautiful, fancy goldfish plushies on lukesgoldies.com. If you enjoy this channel, if you enjoy seeing what you're seeing right here and want to see more of it, you can get a plushie for yourself and you can support me at the same time. Win-win situation. Go to lukesgoldies.com. Thank you, and back to the video. And who else is a shark chew? Well, this legendary fish right here is also a shark chew, and he goes by the name of Scrat. So the reason why Scrat is honestly probably the most important goldfish in all the goldfish greenhouses is not because he has good genetics. In fact, he has bad genetics. He's not even that good for a shark chew because his spike isn't centered. But the reason why Scrat here is so important is he is actually the very first goldfish to enter the goldfish greenhouse. He tested out these troughs and made sure it was safe for everyone else. I put him here first. I let a couple days go by, and I had no clue if he was going to die. I honestly did not know if something was toxic in the system, the water was toxic, or the paint was toxic. I had read and done my research to confirm as much as possible, but you never know until you put a tester goldfish. And he was that tester, and he's doing great. He's actually doing the best now because he's been in this system the longest and proven to all the other goldfish that it's a very great, ideal system to grow. So he's actually grown a lot since I've had him in here. He's got a special place in my heart. So these guys over here, again, I'm not going to breed these ones, but I will sell them. Look at this dude. Look at the power. These are single-tail Ranchus that have dorsal fins. So if you have an outdoor pond or if you have a little more rugged system, these are probably going to be your strongest potential fish to have. I only got a couple of these. This guy's name is actually Lone Survivor. He's the one goldfish I put in Bowser's tub that was able to escape Bowser and not get eaten. And my goodness, has he really grown a lot since I put him in here. Okay. Whoa! And in this section over here, I have our Blackmore telescopes. And this is actually Jack, the telescope. And the really cool thing about Jack is that as soon as I put him out here, he's beginning to turn orange. He's really beginning to gain coloration, which is pretty cool because he's been black for years. And now all of a sudden, now that he's in sunlight, he's actually turning a bit orange. And I'm actually seeing this for the first time. Wow. And this right here, whoa. And look at this Blackmore here. This is one of Jack's babies. Look at that guy. Is this a guy or a girl? Let's just do a quick little check and see if I can tell. I think it is a guy. It's got a skinny butt. But yeah, look at that. Nice big eyes, beautiful even tail, and vicious. Vicious and quick. That's a good, strong goldfish. So yeah, I'm going to keep some of these. May potentially breed more in the future. But he was actually bred, I think this year, like January of this year. So he's nearing a year old. But yeah, very pretty. I got some black telescopes in this tub right here. Who do we have here? Well, here we just have random pet goldfish that I have no intention on breeding, and I'm not even sure if I want to sell yet. Like this mega, whoa, from Thailand. So I imported him, I don't know, 2 years ago almost. And the thing is with these is they're beautiful, but they don't swim that well. They're really not the best swimmers, and I honestly think they're slightly overbred. So he's just going to live out his days in this section right here. I got no plans. I don't think I have any plans to sell him, and I got no plans to breed him. He's just kind of, he's terminal. He's not terminally ill, but he's like, his genetic line is terminating here just because I think he's not a fish you should breed. Oh, speaking of breeding. Oh, I thought for a second this female was being chased in here. But these guys right here have actually laid some eggs. They're very hard to see. Wait, where are the eggs?
You can see them.
Oh yeah, right there. You see that one little one?
Yeah.
These guys have laid some eggs in here. Oh, brother. Oh, brother. So I do have some common goldfish, and actually they bred. Do you guys see this? These are actually the first goldfish to be bred in the goldfish greenhouse, and they're getting pretty big now. These guys are getting pretty big now, but we got some baby common goldfish, and we have, I don't even know who this is. Is this Frank? This might be Frank. He has a little brother, Frankie, that's also in here. But yeah, we just got some common goldfish in this section. I rarely show them because these things are hard to catch. These things are fast. These things like flip around. He's actually really chill right now. He's never like that normally. But yeah, if I put him back in here, he's a quick fish. He's like a little koi fish, this dude. But yeah, I got like, I don't know. I don't even know how many common, I had like 4 larger common goldfish, but they bred. So I probably have 20 now. I don't know. So now that I've shown you all the different kinds of goldfish that I have in the goldfish troughs, I also want to show you what other things I have going on in the goldfish greenhouse. And after that, I'm going to explain more about how this whole thing works. So first, I want to show you every single plant that I have in this system. As you guys know, I already showed you the water hyacinth. I love these because they're floating. The goldfish do not seem to be able to eat them very much, and they reproduce very quickly. This is a great nitrate and ammonia reducing plant. I also got a lot of salvinia in this system. Again, for the same reasons that I like this even more so. It multiplies like crazy. This is a massive nitrate and ammonia absorber. I also got just a little bit of duckweed. Come zoom in on this. You guys see that little duckweed? So I have some duckweed in this system, but not much, because anytime I have duckweed and salvinia, except for this one part here, for some reason the salvinia outcompetes it. The salvinia just tends to grow a lot more aggressively and better than the duckweed, with exception to this one spot here where it's kind of like 50-50, which is kind of interesting. And of course, I also have a ton of water lettuce. This thing is honestly, in the last like week or so, just exploded in growth. These things are giant, their root systems are giant, and they send these offshoots. I'm like producing 10 new water lettuce every day almost. It's crazy how fast all these new water lettuce are growing. But again, why do I love this plant? It floats, so it cannot be uprooted by the goldfish, and it multiplies quickly and grows quickly, meaning it absorbs nitrogen from the system quickly. I also have some non-aquatic plants. So these are actually Monstera plants. These were some of the first plants that I put in this system. And the reason I like these is because they can survive in basically no soil, just rock, and have their roots semi-submerged in the water with the leaves out. So I think they look very pretty, and they do definitely take a long time to get established, but once they do get established, they do begin to grow and suck a lot of nitrates out. But obviously right now they're growing a heck of a lot slower than the floating plants, so their contribution to the nitrate removal is far less actually than the floating plants. And this right here, whoa! Do you guys see that root system? This is my pothos raft I built out of pool noodles. And I haven't lifted this out of the water in a while. Do you see the massive root system this thing has grown? That's insane. So the funny thing is that though pothos are a very great thing to have in your goldfish tank because they can grow, again, roots submerged, leaves out on the top of your tank, they're honestly, in this system out here, the least effective, I think. And that's just because pothos are extremely slow growing. They grow extremely slowly. However, they can survive very well in low light. The low light is a problem I had inside for indoor tanks, but that's not a problem I have out here. So I still recommend fish keepers, get some pothos, put them in the top of your tank. They're great for indoor tanks. But in an outdoor system where I'm getting a lot more sunlight, they're honestly not pulling their weight as much as, let's say, the water lettuce is, who's multiplying and, growing this entire biomass in a couple days. And over here, this is actually, again, one of the first plants I added in here. I have an alocasia, I never know how to pronounce it. Something I learned recently is that the sap from these things is highly irritant, like a big irritant for your hand. I ripped one of the rotting leaves off. I got it on my hand, it hurt a lot. But this thing's actually grown quite vigorously. It's sent out like at least 4 or 5 new leaves since I've got it. It's just a big, big plant. So this guy's a great nitrate absorber. And it had a little tiny offshoot that I put right here, and that offshoot is actually growing quite well as well. And it actually is growing another little offshoot as well, so maybe I'll repot that one as well. I also got a peace lily. This thing's just been hanging out, now, not doing too bad. Right behind here, I got a bird of paradise. Again, not vigorously growing, but it's still doing decent. And then I just got more Monstera. Now, what else do we have in the goldfish greenhouse? Well, that's about all for the troughs. But the wonderful thing about the goldfish greenhouse is it's not done yet. There's plenty of room here for more systems and over here. And this is actually one that I just recently set up. So I actually took some of my more favorite Ranchus, not all of them, but some of the ones I like a lot that I want to breed, and I stuck them in here like a couple days ago. And in just those couple days, they've already begun spawning in these roots. That's why I love these roots. It's perfect spawning material. Now, it's quite hard to see, but if we pick this root right here, you see that one little egg? That one egg right there? There are eggs in this. You see at the edge of my ring finger? Oh, yeah. There are eggs in this system, so they've already begun spawning in here. So what I may do, honestly, is I may remove some of these plants with those eggs, put them in a separate tank, and just see what kind of babies I get, because I like all these fish here. These are all great breeder fish. And I just stuck them in here. Boom, within a couple days, they laid eggs. But yeah, this is just a 120-gallon tank from my basement. I decided to put in here, add a ton of plants, add 4 sponge filters, and it's beautiful. But what about these 2 giant tubs over here? Well, well, well. We got something very special. Very special. We got Bowser, the common snapping turtle. Wow. This guy is actually crazy freaking big. This guy is crazy freaking, oh! Look at that. And right here, we have his little brother. They're the same age, but he's smaller. Balthazar. Oi! Balthazar, buddy. So yeah, these guys are just about 2 years old now, and they're somewhat friendly, as in they don't really defensively strike me. They don't defensively try to strike me, but just to be careful, I don't put my fingers near their face. But they sure don't love me. They sure do not love me, because anytime I take them out, they try to go away immediately. Okay, so this is our bigger of the two snappers, good old Bowser. And yeah, they don't love me, but they're not crazy afraid of me either. Notice how he's not striking. So if this was in the wild, if you approached a snapping turtle like this, like a common snapper in the wild, he'd be snapping all over the place, or he'd be sprinting for it. Now he's not sprinting, but he's definitely just avoiding me. So you might be thinking, Luke, why do you have snapping turtles? Well, a big part of goldfish keeping and breeding is culling. And I'll leave it at that. He's our culling machine. He's our very aggressive culling machine. Now be nice, Bowser. Look at him, look at him. No respect for the plants. Okay, so that's just about every live thing in the goldfish greenhouse so far. More to come, but how do I keep this place warm? Well, so far, the sun does that alone. Even though it's like, it's now actually October, in the middle of the day, it easily reaches over 100 degrees in here just because of the sun shining through these polycarbonate panels and just heating this place up and not having wind blow all that heat away. But it will become much, much colder very soon, and that's where this bad boy kicks in. This is a diesel heater that I rigged up to a 5-gallon tank, and this thing, it says it's rated at 8 kilowatts. It probably puts out something closer to like 5 kilowatts of energy, which is equivalent to like 3 electric space heaters. So will this one guy be enough to heat the entire greenhouse throughout the whole winter? We're gonna find out. Probably not. I may need to get a second one, but at a minimum, this is definitely gonna keep it above freezing, which is my main goal during wintertime, is I wanna keep this place above freezing. So how do we get water into this system? Even though the plants and the filters do a great job at removing nearly all the bad contaminants, I still like to flush through a little water here and there. And that's where these big guys come in. I actually have a well that I got reactivated from the old fishery on here, and it pumps straight into these big boys over here. And once these are filled up to the top, I have these little metal hoses in which I trickle in fresh well water. So this fresh well water trickles in, and actually on the other end over there, I have an overflow. And basically once this thing rises to a certain level, on the very opposite end, water overflows. So it's basically like a trickle in, trickle out system. And I'll only run this maybe every other day because I don't really need to flush through that much water just because the plants are really making the water super clean. I only honestly do this for a little bit of mineral replacement. Okay guys, we just have spotted the #1 goldfish enemy, the blue heron. So as beautiful as this bird is, once I start raising some goldfish in the outdoors, that's probably gonna be a little security risk. So maybe we'll have some herring wings for dinner. No, I'm joking. So what well am I using? Well, I actually just found this random well here in my property. There's like 5 wells just, scattered all over the place here. Lucky for me, I need water to raise fish. So I ended up pulling this thing. It was like 100 feet of tubing, putting a new well pump on there, and I turned it on using a gasoline generator. I hooked a gasoline generator up to a control box right here, which is required for these 240 volt well pumps. And I got the wiring all plugged in to this thing here, like 100 feet down, and it worked. I turned on the generator and it worked. So this is actually what I've been using to fill up that water holding tub in the goldfish greenhouse. Now you'll notice that this well line is above ground, which would be kind of concerning come winter time, because that means if there's water left in the pipe, it's gonna freeze solid and I'll have no access to water. So what we're attempting to do is build a gradual slope. Lucky for me, the actual well is at a much higher point than the greenhouse. So we're attempting to build a gradual slope down all the way to the goldfish greenhouse so the water can properly drain through the line and we never actually have a freezing situation where at a low point water just collects and gets clogged. So if we can get a perfect pitch going all the way down, we should have no freezing problems. Hopefully. So at this point you might be thinking, Luke, isn't this very expensive to run? This seems like a lot of electricity. Well, it's honestly not even that much electricity because all I'm really running in there are some air pumps and some water pumps, not a crazy amount of them. And if you look behind me over here, I got a bunch of solar panels. I got solar panels on the greenhouse. I built a shed over there. I got a couple solar panels leaned against that. And for a while, I was entirely running this greenhouse off of only solar. As of recent, as you can see, we're getting less and less sunlight around this property. And that's because of all these trees here and the sun lowering down. As we approach wintertime, we're just not getting the same sun intensity for the same length during the day. So we're not getting enough solar now. So what do I do when there's not enough solar? Well, I actually run this little itty bitty generator, which is probably very undersized for my operation. I really should use a larger one. But anytime it's excessively cloudy or a couple days go by and the energy usage is just too much, I come here to this shed that I just built like a couple weeks ago. What do you guys think of my shed? My little 8x8 shed. She's going nowhere. You know what the foundation for this shed is? Like 4 cinder blocks I just dug in the dirt. So yeah, in this shed over here, I have my solar batteries. The reason why I wanted this kind of out of the greenhouse is because sometimes the air temperature in the greenhouse gets like mega hot and it's exposed to a lot of sunlight. And I just got worried about having batteries in an environment that gets extremely hot, like 130 sometimes, and direct sun. So I decided to have a separate, little outhouse for it where I have the battery, where I can store the generator, and where I can store other stuff that I routinely use around here. But yeah, I'm gonna have to make a better system, maybe get more panels or something, because right now, on a good sunny day like today, the solar panels are enough. But on days where it's not sunny, the total battery level just goes down and there's a risk of it, shutting off in the middle of the night. But that's a problem I'll fix. If you got any tips for like automatic generators that turn on and stuff like that, let me know. So that's about everything that I have going on in this goldfish greenhouse, and I hope this kind of cleared up some understanding as to how this all works. It's definitely a work in progress right now. I've only been running this place for I think a little over 3 months now. It's been only around 3 months since I took Scrat and first entered him into these troughs, and since then we've had a ton of plant growth. Look at that. Look at that. We've had a ton of plant growth and we've had a ton of goldfish growth. Very soon I will begin selling some goldfish again. I'm actually going to be selling some of these Ranchus over here, and I'm definitely going to start selling plants soon because they're growing so quickly that I'm literally throwing them away. I'm feeding them to my chickens. So I do want to begin selling some as well. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed watching this video. Stay tuned for more. I'm going to be making more videos all about this place and building it up to even more than it is now. And yeah, Luke's Goldies, out.